All right, let's go New York Giants. Top three players for the Giants. We have Dexter Lawrence, we have Andrew Thomas, and Brian Burns, who they just traded for this offseason. Also considered Kayvon Thibodeau and rookie wide receiver Malik Neighbors. Thoughts on the Giants list here?
Certainly the first two are no-brainers. Dexter Lawrence is a unique, singular individual player at nose tackle. Just absolute freak show in terms of what he can do. Plays more nose tackle than anybody in the NFL. Generates an order of magnitude more pressure than any nose tackle in the NFL. I tweeted out the other day, when actually lined up at nose tackle, so either zero technique, head up over the center, or one technique, essentially shaded either side of the center shoulder. Dexter, in the last 2 years, Dexter Lawrence has 81 total pressures. Nobody else in the NFL has more than 16. So,
oh yeah,
what is
You're
that?
stealing all my fun tweets here, Sam. I was doing that all during last season to show how dominant Dexter Lawrence was relative to his peers.
Right. So what is that? 6 times the volume
Incredible.
of pressure. And that's like, okay, it's partly a product of opportunity, right? Like he has something like 200 plus more snaps lined up at nose tackle in the last 2 years than anybody else. Now, number one, the players that have the second, third, fourth most snaps at nose tackle, et cetera, are not the players that have the 16, 15 pressures. They're different players. So it's not simply a product of how many snaps did he line up there. Number two, the reason he has more than 200 plus snaps at nose tackle relative to anybody else is because he can do what he's doing. Like,
Because he can do it.
Other guys get moved away from that because you need to line up somewhere else to get the pressure. The fact that he's able to get that pressure when lined up at nose tackle is unusual and freakish. And number three,
it's the easy. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Number three, his pressure rate, his pass rush win rate at nose tackle is over 20%. That is stupid. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. The other guys, like number two or three, number two, I think I forget who it was, like an edge rusher or a three tech who like lines up there, every now and again and wins with quickness. And theirs is like 16%, right? The next highest guy is 12%. So he's almost double the pass rush win rate of the next clear, like interior rusher. It's utterly ridiculous what Dexter Lawrence does as a nose tackle.
Yeah, absolutely well laid out, Sam. I mean, you can make the argument that Dexter Lawrence executes his role relative to his peers better than any player in the NFL. You can make that argument. Now, it doesn't mean it's the most valuable, but I would say if you plop him onto any defense as a guy that can push the pocket as a nose tackle, which from a football standpoint, it's the easiest position to double, right? You're going to have a center, and it's easy to just, put a guard on the nose tackle. Most pass protection is going to do that by default anyway. It's much harder to double the three technique over the guard or the edge defender without having a chipper or a tight end. It is so easy to double the nose tackle. So it's easy for teams to say, hey, we're going to allot two guys to Dexter Lawrence. We're going to make sure that he doesn't wreck this game. And that's why most nose tackles, even when they don't quote unquote command the double team, they're still probably getting doubled. Again, because that's how most pass protection is going to work by default. So the fact that he's still able to blow up plays, get pressure at 20%, have those games like the playoff game against the Vikings a couple years ago where he's just in Kirk Cousins' lap over and over again. Just can't say enough good things about Dexter Lawrence and what he's able to do. Again, relative to his peers in the role that he plays, maybe the very best in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth sort of adding just another couple of layers of context to that. You're right. Generally speaking, it's a lot easier to double team the nose tackle than it is double team the three tech. Couple of things that influence that generally. Number one, who's your three technique, right? Like Aaron Donald got the double teams for the Rams because he was Aaron Donald, and you needed to completely change blocking schemes because you couldn't leave Aaron Donald one-on-one with a guard. He would win. So Donald starts to manipulate that picture. Now, the Giants don't have a high-quality three technique that would do that, right? So on the one hand, Dexter Lawrence is playing inside on a team that does not have like a three tech that would be pulling additional pressure or additional blocking away from him, and you're like, okay, you'd expect him to be double teamed a ton. On the other hand, he was playing in Wink Martindale's defense, right? And the other thing that will influence your double team rate is how many guys are they blitzing, and how often. And Wink Martindale's defense, obviously, you've famously referred to it as crazy. it blitzes a lot. It sends a lot of
Aggressive.
bodies. The blitz rate that the Giants have influences how much Dexter Lawrence gets double teamed. Now, he is still double teamed a lot because he plays on that interior, and he's the obvious guy to assign extra attention to, but not at the extreme rate that you would expect for a guy that plays almost all the time at nose tackle and is an absolute wrecking machine when he does it.
All good context there, Sam. Maybe not having Wink there might allow teams to double team Dexter Lawrence a little bit more. We'll see how that goes. But always like to give him all the credit in the world for the way he's played his position, played nose tackle the last few years. Andrew Thomas, who we mentioned, has become one of the better left tackles in the league.
Yep.
I'm not the biggest Brian Burns fan, but I get it. As a pure pass rusher, he is excellent. I don't think he's as well-rounded as a bunch of the other edge defenders in the league, but he's very good at what he does. Kayvon Thibodeau is an interesting one because he did not have a great year too, at least by our grades. I think the sack totals were still there. I don't even look at them all the time. Still had sack totals, but he didn't take that next step as a dominant all-around player.
No.
Either rushing the passer or playing the run. And so, yeah, that's, keep an eye on Thibodeau because I still believe in him as a player, but it was not a great sophomore year for him.
Yeah, he had 13 sacks last season, so it's a little bit like the Trayvon Walker thing, right? Where there's a lot of people I think that would definitely push for the idea that he's arrived, he's taken that step. I don't necessarily. I was disappointed by him last year, even with that sack total. The two names I think that I would mention in this, and I think they're probably the correct three players for the Giants. The two names I think that I would at least throw out there to rival Burns as the third guy would be Bobby Okereke at linebacker, who had a career year there. Was a fantastic playmaker within that defense. Now, again, change in scheme, what is that going to do to Okereke? Is he going to have a down year relative to last season because of the new scheme? And then this is one where I think, look, if Marvin Harrison Jr. was able to make it as a rookie in Arizona, this is the other rookie where I think you can make a good argument that Malik Neighbors steps onto this team as the third best player there. Now, that might be a little harsh to Brian Burns, who, I broadly agree with you. I think is a little bit overrated because the thing that he specializes in is the flashy thing, the pass rushing, the sacks. He is, however, a Pro Bowl caliber edge rusher, right? So that's a pretty high bar for a guy like Neighbors to step in and get there. You need to be a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver basically right out of the gate, which I think he definitely has the ability to do, but it's not easy. He would have to hit a fairly high end of his range of outcomes right away to clear Brian Burns.